You don't realize that you're hiding until hiding looks productive. And oftentimes the things that we're hiding behind are the ones that are also keeping us small. Fear doesn't always stop you from starting something. It can affect the conditions in which you are actually doing something. And that's exactly what this podcast became for me. Hi, my name is Vanessa, and I'm a psychotherapist and somatic coach. And this is the 3-Minute Pause podcast. This podcast is about the heartbeat between your trigger and your reaction. And I just stretch that heartbeat just 3 minutes so you can choose how you want to respond to the world and not let your reactions hijack you. Which got me thinking about how our triggers and our reactions can often hijack us, but in ways that look super positive or super productive. And being productive is one of them, or being responsible or feeling safe, and how we take those pieces and allow them to reinforce who we are. I did 12 episodes of this podcast behind a microphone. And I loved it. I loved every bit of it. I loved who I was and who I became. And it resonated. Being behind the microphone was something that felt 100% aligned. And I truly, truly loved it. But at some point, I realized that the structure with which I created this podcast was also the very same structure that was shrinking me down. And I started to get really curious about how I could work through my fears or work through what was now suddenly uncomfortable and then find a way forward. Because fear doesn't just announce itself by going, hey, I'm afraid. It doesn't just show up like that. Fear there's no major announcement. You don't necessarily wake up feeling scared. You walk into that job or that relationship or that space and feel super comfortable. But if you're really paying attention, somewhere along the way, somehow, you will feel that tiny little moment where it doesn't feel aligned and it doesn't feel comfortable. And one morning you might wake up and think, okay, I have to push myself through this. And those are the moments that I'm talking about, because when we ignore those for comfort, then we're not really listening. The thing is, we don't know we're afraid when something feels right. It just feels right. Like the audio really resonated for me. And it was right for me at that time. I came to life behind the microphone. And we often shine behind the spaces that we are afraid that expose us. If you're afraid of being exposed or afraid of being too seen because you grew up in the spotlight and because attention doesn't have a positive connotation, then hiding feels safer. But if we're not paying attention to those really subtle signals, then we don't know where we are. We just kind of coast along and stay in those comfort zones. So you could be in a relationship you've outgrown. You could be in a job that's limiting you. You could be continuing to perform in relationships that keep you suppressed but keep everybody else happy. And you think that makes you happy because you're used to it. Doesn't mean it's the right thing for you. And the thing is, we build our routines around our discomfort. Like keeping busy all the time so you don't actually have to feel. So you're socializing or you're traveling or you're something, because then you don't have to feel those feelings. Or by over preparing for every conversation so you never have to be spontaneous. Or by dating only emotionally unavailable people so you don't have to deal with intimacy. And it feels easier because then I get to say, hey, you know what? It didn't work out. They're unavailable. And it becomes part of our identities, doesn't it? Oh, I'm just the kind of person that doesn't like to be in the limelight. Or I just prefer to know what's happening. Or I'm not creative. I just want to show up. But those are the ways in which you are hiding. Because maybe there is a part of you that is super creative, but you've never met them. Or there's a part of you that wants to be spontaneous and just be natural in the way they speak. And maybe there's a part of you that is creative, but you've never given yourself a chance because you're afraid. And so it's easier to hide behind, I'm not creative. That's okay, I'm not creative. Yeah, and those are the ways we talk to ourselves all the time. And that kind of conversation just gets reinforced and reinforced over and over and over throughout the day. And then it becomes who we are. It becomes who you are. I'm just a shy person. I'm just a person who doesn't do conflict. I'm really not good at conflict. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. But actually, you're not bad at conflict. You're just afraid of conflict. And you're afraid of what it does to you. And so it's easier to hide behind the statement, I don't do conflict. I'm not good at it. Because if you're not good at it, then you never really have to go and engage with it, right? And the point is we just convince ourselves this is who we are. But what if it's not who you are? What if it's who you have been conditioned to be? And whether you're listening to me right now or watching me right now, this is the first episode that I am not behind the microphone. The microphone version of me was necessary. The microphone version of me was 100% needed to get me here to where I am and to where I'm going. So we convince ourselves that's who we are. We convince ourselves that all those limiting thoughts, all the ways in which we hide, that's who we are. And we convince ourselves that's who we are so that we don't have to come out from behind feeling safe. This week's pause is just to remain curious and come into a space where wherever you feel super, super comfortable, just double check and look and see if there's those tiny feelings that are telling you that you need to stretch a little bit or that this doesn't feel as comfortable as it used to. And those parts of you were super important because they got you to this point. But be curious to see if you've outgrown the space that you're in.